The NATO Joint Training Range at Fort Bragg shimmered under the merciless North Carolina sun. Major James Blackwood placed his L-115A3 sniper rifle on the bench with theatrical flair, his weathered hands moving with practiced precision. At 45, the British SAS officer carried himself with the confident swagger of a man who had never missed a shot that mattered. Decorated 4 times for marksmanship excellence, his reputation preceded him like a herald, announcing royalty. Blackwood's steel-blue eyes locked onto Captain Rachel "Phantom" Miller across the shooting range. A smirk played at the corner of his mouth as he addressed her, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent field. "Want to try, love? Let me show you how the men do it." Laughter erupted from his team. The American soldiers shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. Rachel stood motionless, her auburn hair pulled back tight in a regulation bun, emerald eyes steady, expression unreadable. At 35, she carried herself with a quiet confidence that intimidated without trying. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, just watched. If you've ever been underestimated because someone thought you weren't good enough, you'll want to watch until the end. Soar for 5 hours. Rachel's alarm didn't sound because she never needed one. Her eyes opened precisely at dawn, the same way they had for 18 years of military service. She laced her tactical boots in the dark, stepped outside her barracks, and began her 6-mile run around the Fort Bragg perimeter. Her breathing remained controlled, rhythmic. Her heart rate never climbed above 57 beats per minute, even on the hills. The morning light caught her face as she rounded the final stretch, illuminating a thin scar that ran from her right temple to her jawline, a souvenir from Fallujah, 2009. No music, no distractions, just the sound of her footfalls and the distant hum of helicopters preparing for morning exercises. A flashback interrupted her thoughts. 2008, Delta Force Selection Course. Mud-covered recruits crawling under barbed wire as drill instructors shouted, "Miller, you think a woman belongs here? Prove it." She had. Only 2% of female candidates had ever completed the course. She finished 3rd overall that year, outperforming 46 male counterparts. In the mess hall, she chose her seat carefully, back against the wall, eyes on the door. Her position gave her a reflected view of the entire room through the stainless steel napkin dispenser. Old habits, the kind that kept you alive in places where America officially had no boots on the ground. She ate slowly, methodically. Oatmeal, black coffee, 2 hard-boiled eggs. While she ate, her left hand drifted to her boot, fingers brushing the small blade tucked inside. A reflex check, muscle memory from operations in Afghanistan, where a hidden knife meant the difference between extraction and a black body bag. 2 young sergeants whispered at the next table. "She's logistics, not a shooter," his friend snorted. "Probably never fired anything bigger than a 9mm. One of them knocked over an ammo box near Rachel's table. Brass casings scattered across the floor. They expected her to ignore it or ask for help. Instead, she knelt and began sorting the rounds by caliber and condition, her fingers moving with practiced precision. The .308 Winchester, .556 NATO, and 50 BMG rounds aligned in perfect rows within seconds. Her eyes never left the soldiers' faces. They stopped laughing. Across the base, in the IT hub, Sergeant David Freeman scrolled through personnel files. The 28-year-old tech specialist had been tasked with updating security clearances for the joint NATO training exercise. Rachel Miller's file loaded on his screen. Standard information, service dates, assignments, commendations, then a gap. 2014 to 2019. 5 years marked only with the classification, ultraviolet, top secret compartmentalized intelligence. Freeman frowned. He'd seen redacted sections before, but never an entire 5-year block. He ran a secondary search with his administrative access. Access denied. Ghost Hunter protocols engaged. Contact director level for authorization. His eyes widened at the brief flash of additional text before his system automatically logged him out. Operation Ghost Hunter, 7 operators, authorized to terminate with extreme prejudice. Later, when Rachel walked past the armory, Freeman noticed something on her left wrist, partially visible beneath her watch, a tattoo. An Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail, rendered in faded black ink. 7 tiny stars circled it. He remembered seeing the exact same mark in a classified report about a dead operative in Yemen last year. Colonel Harlan McCoy stood on the observation deck, watching the morning drills with eyes that had seen more war than most history books recorded. At 63, the Vietnam veteran moved with the deliberate grace of a man who understood the value of each motion. Silver hair cut high and tight, back ramrod straight despite his age. His weathered face spoke of decades spent in jungles, deserts, and mountains where America's most dangerous games were played. The Ouroboros tattoo with 7 stars visible on his wrist as he raised his binoculars. A junior security officer approached. "Colonel, the British SAS team has arrived, 12 operators led by Major Blackwood." McCoy nodded without lowering his binoculars. "Do you believe in ghosts, Lieutenant?" "No, sir." McCoy's lips formed a grim smile. "I've met ghosts, trained them, and now someone's hunting them." He pulled out a secured satellite phone and dialed a number from memory. When answered, he spoke in a code that hadn't been used in years. "Project 7 Star has been compromised. Activate Lazarus Protocol." The British contingent arrived in 3 armored transports, their presence announced by the roar of diesel engines and the snap of Union Jack flags. 12 operators from the Special Air Service dressed in desert camouflage, their equipment gleaming with meticulous care. At the front of the formation stood Major Blackwood, 6'3" with shoulders like a rugby player, jaw sharp enough to cut glass. He carried his L115A3 sniper rifle with the casual familiarity of an old lover. His reputation, 38 high-value targets eliminated across 3 continents. "The Americans have gone soft," he remarked to his second-in-command. More concerned with politics than combat effectiveness. His eyes swept across the American team, dismissing most instantly. Then he saw Rachel inspecting a Barrett rifle scope near the armory. "That one's a bird. What's she doing here? Admin work?" His teammate shrugged. "Americans let anyone join now, mate." Blackwood's smirk widened. Later that morning, Master Sergeant Williams approached Rachel near the equipment shed. At 58, the former Army Ranger had survived 3 wars and carried the wisdom of each in the lines of his face. "Captain Miller, got a question." He scratched his gray beard. "You ever work with a Barrett 50 cal at 1,500 meters? Curious about the recoil compensation at that range." Rachel didn't hesitate. "When drift is your primary concern at that distance, for every 7 mph crosswind, you're looking at roughly 7.5 inches of deviation. Scope adjustment needs to account for bullet drop about 15 MOA depending on your load. The ballistics table changes with temperature and humidity, so you calculate fresh every time." Williams' eyebrows lifted. "That's not book knowledge." She met his gaze. "No, it's not." Williams studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Ghost unit," he whispered, almost inaudibly. "I heard rumors, but never thought—" He walked away without finishing the sentence. A flashback seized Rachel's mind. Afghanistan Highlands, 2016. 7 operators with matching tattoos, receiving orders from a younger Colonel McCoy. "This mission doesn't exist. These targets don't exist. As far as the world is concerned, you don't exist." The sound of a single, distant rifle shot brought her back to the present. The next morning, both teams gathered at the long-range rifle course. Targets were set at 400, 800, and 1,200 meters. The wind had picked up, gusting from the northwest at 9 mph. Swirling dust devils danced across the range. Humidity at 62%, barometric pressure falling, difficult conditions. Perfect for showing off. Blackwood volunteered first. He settled into position with his L115A3, adjusting his bipod with theatrical precision. The crowd watched as he controlled his breathing, his finger curling around the trigger with practiced ease. Bang, pause, bang, pause, bang, pause, bang, pause, bang. 5 shots, all within a 3-inch group at 1,200 meters. The spotters called it out over the radio, and the British operators cheered. Even some of the Americans nodded with grudging respect. Blackwood stood, dusted off his knees, and handed his rifle to his spotter. Then he turned, scanning the crowd until he found Rachel. He walked straight toward her, that infuriating smirk still plastered across his face. "Want to try, sweetheart?" The words hung in the air like a challenge and an insult combined. "I'll give you a courtesy point if you hit the target at all." The British operators laughed loudly. A few American soldiers joined in, uncomfortable but unwilling to defend someone they barely knew. Rachel said nothing. She glanced toward the observation tower where Colonel McCoy stood watching. He gave an almost imperceptible nod. She picked up her weapon, an older Barrett M82A1, its paint chipped and worn, the serial number indicating it had seen service since Operation Desert Storm. She pulled a cleaning cloth from her pocket and began wiping the scope lens with slow, deliberate strokes. Blackwood leaned against the shooting bench. "No shame in sitting this one out, love. Long-range work isn't for everyone." Rachel didn't respond. She checked the chamber, inspected the magazine, ran her fingers along the barrel as if reading Braille. Her movements economical and precise. The weapon might have been old, but every component was immaculate. One of the American sergeants muttered to his buddy, "She won't even hit the target. This is embarrassing." In the back of the crowd, Freeman stood with his tablet, pretending to check equipment logs. But his mind was elsewhere. He'd spent the previous night digging deeper into secure archives, using access codes he definitely shouldn't have had. He'd found something. A single reference to Operation Ghost Hunter. 7 operators, 127 missions, 0 failures, 100% deniability. Rachel dropped prone beside the shooting mat. She adjusted the bipod legs with tiny twists, ensuring perfect stability. Her left hand reached into her pocket, pulling out a small notepad and pencil. She licked her finger, held it up, feeling the wind. Then she scribbled numbers. Wind speed, direction, temperature, barometric pressure, humidity, elevation angle. Someone in the crowd coughed. Another checked his watch. She chambered around. The metallic click echoed across the range. A British operator leaned toward Blackwood. "She's taking bloody forever, mate," Blackwood chuckled. "Stalling, hoping we'll get bored and forget about it." Rachel pressed her cheek against the stock. Her right eye found the scope. The target, a white circle with a black bullseye, shimmered in the heat distortion at 1,200 meters. At this distance, the target looked smaller than a quarter held at arm's length. Her breathing slowed. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Her heart rate dropped. 60 beats per minute, then 58, then 55. The world narrowed. The crowd disappeared. The wind became data. The target became geometry. Her finger touched the trigger, not pulling, just resting, feeling the resistance, learning the breakpoint. Then, without warning, she fired. The Barrett roared. The recoil drove her shoulder back, but her body absorbed it like water absorbing a stone. No flinch, no compensation. 1,200 meters away, the spotters behind high-powered scopes went silent. The radio crackled. "Stand by." A pause. "Dead center." Perfect bullseye. Before anyone could react, Rachel ejected the spent casing, chambered another round, recalculated her wind call with a glance at the flag's downrange. She fired again. Bullseye, same hole. She fired a third time, then a fourth, then a fifth. Each shot took less than 8 seconds to set up and execute. No hesitation, no wasted motion. Her breathing never changed. Her heart rate never spiked. The radio operator's voice shook. All 5 shots, single hole, diameter less than 1.5 inches. Silence descended on the range like a curtain dropping. The kind of silence that happens when people witness something that shouldn't be possible. Williams stepped closer to the spotting scope. He looked through it himself, adjusting the focus. Then he straightened, his face pale. "That's ghost unit precision," he whispered. The words spread through the crowd like electricity. Heads turned, eyes widened. The British operators stopped joking. Even Blackwood's smirk vanished completely. Freeman, standing at the back with his tablet, felt his stomach drop. Ghost unit. The rumor every special operator had heard but none could confirm. 7 shooters, no names, no records, only results. Rachel stood slowly, dusting off her knees. She safed her weapon, removed the magazine, checked the chamber. Then she turned to face Blackwood. He stood frozen, his face red, his fists clenched. Rachel walked toward him, stopping 3 feet away. She didn't gloat, didn't smile. Her expression remained neutral, almost bored. "Coffee," she said quietly. "I take mine black." Someone in the crowd laughed, then another. Then the entire range erupted in applause. Before Blackwood could respond, the range fell silent again. Colonel McCoy approached from the command observation post. He walked slowly, deliberately, his eyes fixed on Rachel and Blackwood. "At ease," he said, though no one relaxed. McCoy stopped at the shooting line. He examined the Barrett Rachel had used, running his fingers along the worn receiver. Then he picked up her notepad, studying the calculations she'd scribbled. "Perfect," he murmured. "Every variable accounted for." He turned to face the assembled operators. The British contingent stood at attention. The Americans waited, confused. McCoy rolled up his right sleeve slowly, deliberately. On his forearm, rendered in the same faded black ink, was an Ouroboros, a snake consuming its own tail, circled by 7 tiny stars. The older operators recognized it immediately. Their faces went pale. "This mark," McCoy said, his voice carrying across the range, "belongs to 7 people. 7 shooters who don't exist in any official record. 7 operators who eliminated targets that threatened our nation's security in ways the public will never know." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "These 7 people have a combined 213 confirmed eliminations in deserts, jungles, mountains, and cities, from distances that would make your training instructors weep." Blackwood's face had gone from red to white. "Captain Miller holds the record among them. Her longest confirmed kill, 2,167 meters. Helmand Province, Afghanistan, 2016. One shot, 1 kill in 40 mph winds, when 3 Predator drones and 2 SEAL teams couldn't reach the target. She did it with a rifle older than most of you, from a position so exposed that extraction seemed impossible." McCoy's eyes found Blackwood. "She is one of the deadliest shooters in American military history. And you, Major Blackwood, just asked her if she wanted to try." The silence was absolute. Even the wind seemed to stop. McCoy's expression softened slightly. "But here's what you need to understand. She didn't embarrass you to stroke her ego. She did it because you forced her hand." He let that sink in for a moment. "Captain Miller operated under deep cover for 5 years. Her identity was classified for her protection and ours." Across the base in the communications center, Freeman's computer screen flickered. A new message appeared, routed through 7 proxy servers, encrypted with military-grade protocols. The message contained only 4 words. 7 stars will fall, 2 have fallen. Before Freeman could respond, every light in the building went dark. The entire base plunged into darkness for 3 seconds before emergency systems engaged. Freeman ran to his superior's office, tablet in hand. "Sir, we've been breached." In McCoy's office, emergency lighting cast harsh shadows. Rachel sat across from him, a manila folder open between them. "CIA Deputy Director Richard Wayland," McCoy said. 35 years of service, 3 presidential commendations." Rachel stared at the photograph. Distinguished, silver-haired, grandfatherly. "Is he compromised?" "He's the threat," McCoy leaned back. 6 weeks ago, Wayland requested archived files on all ghost hunter operations from 2016 to 2018. Those files don't exist officially. Yet he knew to ask for them. Used protocols only 7 people should know. McCoy's expression darkened. "You, me, and 5 others who were read into the program." Rachel's mind raced. "The other ghost hunter members?" "Being contacted as we speak. 4 are still active, different commands. One's teaching at Quantico." "And one?" McCoy hesitated. "Died 3 weeks ago. Training accident at Fort Bragg." "That's convenient." "Too convenient. Alex Mercer, our Yemen specialist, found dead at the bottom of a ravine during a night exercise. Before that, Marcus Chen disappeared in Berlin. Body found in the Spree River. Ruled a suicide. McCoy slid another file across the desk. There's something else you should know. Wayland has been nominated for CIA Director. Senate confirmation hearings start next month. If the truth about Bahrain ever surfaces. Rachel opened the new file. Her eyes widened. Operation Chimera, Bahrain, 2017. The mission where Ghost Hunter discovered Wayland's connection to arms dealers and terrorist financing, McCoy confirmed. We were ordered to destroy all evidence, but someone kept copies. And Wayland knows it. He's systematically eliminating every Ghost Hunter operative before his confirmation hearings. He can't risk the truth coming out. Rachel closed the folder. What do you need from me? McCoy stood, walked to his window overlooking the darkened base. Wayland's hosting a classified intelligence conference at Langley tomorrow. All the major players will be there. CIA, NSA, DIA. You want me at Langley? I want you watching him, reading him. He doesn't know Ghost Hunter has been declassified. He thinks you're still hidden. And if he's innocent, then we apologize and move on. McCoy turned to face her, his voice hardening. But if he's eliminating Ghost Hunter operators one by one, we end this, permanently. Rachel stood. I'll need a team. You'll have support, limited. This needs to stay off the books. Freeman, for technical. Williams for backup. McCoy nodded. I'll arrange it. Rachel moved toward the door, then paused. Colonel, why now? Why come after us after the unit disbanded? McCoy's expression was grim. Because in 2017, Ghost Hunter found evidence linking certain intelligence officials to foreign cartels and terrorist financing. We were ordered to destroy all evidence by the highest authority. But someone didn't. Someone kept proof. And Wayland knows it. Rachel's face hardened into the expression that had terrified enemies across 3 continents. Then let him come. Ghosts don't scare easily. 3 days later, the base held a formal ceremony. Both American and British contingents assembled in dress uniforms, boots polished, ribbons aligned. The morning sun cast long shadows across the parade ground. Rachel stood at attention among the other operators, her uniform crisp, her expression neutral. She'd tried to convince McCoy this wasn't necessary, but he'd overruled her. Some things need to be public, he'd said. For morale, for justice. Blackwood stood with his British team, his face carefully blank. The past 3 days had been hell for him. His teammates had stopped joking. His commanders had delivered quiet but firm reprimands. McCoy took the podium. Behind him, the American and British flags snapped in the wind. We gather today not just to honor skill, but to honor sacrifice. To honor those who serve in silence, who risk everything while receiving no recognition, who live and sometimes die in the shadows so that others may live in the light. He gestured for Rachel to step forward. She moved with military precision, stopping exactly 3 feet from the podium. Captain Rachel Miller served with a classified special mission unit from 2014 to 2019. During those 5 years, she participated in 43 operations across 14 countries. She neutralized high-value targets, including 5 that were considered untouchable by conventional means. McCoy's voice strengthened. She holds one of the longest confirmed kill shots in military history, 2467 meters. That's over 1.5 miles. In hostile conditions with enemy forces closing on her position. He paused. After that shot, she remained in position for 6 hours, providing overwatch for the extraction team. She didn't leave until every operator was safe. Then she walked 12 miles through enemy territory to reach the extraction point. Alone. The assembled operators were silent, transfixed. Her accuracy rate across all operations, 97.8%. Her mission success rate, 100%. Not a single operator under her protection was lost. McCoy turned to face Rachel directly. The Silver Star for Valor, 3 Bronze Stars for Merit, and the thanks of a nation that will never know your name. He pinned the medals on her chest himself, his hands steady despite his age. The applause started slowly, then built into thunder. Americans and British alike clapped, some with tears in their eyes. These were warriors who understood what those medals meant, the price paid for each one. Blackwood stepped forward from his formation. Every eye turned to him. He marched to Rachel, stopped, and executed the sharpest salute of his career. Not the mocking gesture from days before. This was respect, true and earned. Rachel returned it with equal precision. "I was wrong," Blackwood said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "And I apologize." Rachel nodded once. "Apology accepted, Major." They shook hands. The applause intensified. As the ceremony concluded, Freeman rushed toward McCoy, his face tense. "Sir, we've got a problem. I detected an unauthorized transmission from the base during the ceremony." McCoy's expression darkened. "From where?" "Communications center. But that's not all. I found what they were looking for. Records of Ghost Hunter's 2017 operation in Bahrain. The one where you discovered the Chimera accounts." Rachel joined them. "Who sent it?" Freeman hesitated. "Master Sergeant Williams, sir." Rachel's blood ran cold. "Williams?" In a secured conference room, Williams sat handcuffed to a chair, his weathered face lined with shame. Rachel and McCoy stood across from him. Freeman worked at a computer terminal, tracking the data breach. "Why?" Rachel's voice was soft but deadly. Williams couldn't meet her eyes. "They have my son. Wayland's people took Danny 3 months ago. Said he'd disappear forever if I didn't help them." "How many died because of you, Steve?" "Alex and Marcus had families." "I had no choice," Williams' voice broke. "Wayland knows about the evidence someone kept from the Bahrain operation. Proof he was funneling CIA funds to terrorist cells and drug cartels. He's desperate to eliminate all loose ends before his confirmation hearing." McCoy leaned forward. "Where's your son?" "Warehouse outside Quantico, heavily guarded." Rachel and McCoy exchanged glances. "We get the boy first," she said. "Then Wayland." Blackwood found Rachel preparing gear in the armory. "I heard about Williams. Bloody mess." Rachel nodded, checking her sidearm. "I want in," Blackwood said. Rachel looked up, surprised. "I've been an arrogant ass," he continued. "Let me make it right." She studied him for a moment, then handed him a tactical vest. "We leave in 20. The warehouse stood isolated in the Virginia countryside. 4 armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Inside, William's son Danny, a 20-year-old college student, was held in a makeshift cell. Rachel, Freeman, McCoy, and Blackwood approached under cover of darkness. Their plan was simple. Freeman would disable the security system, Blackwood would provide overwatch, while Rachel and McCoy extracted the boy. "Just like old times," McCoy whispered as they moved into position. Rachel smiled grimly. "Let's hope not. I remember how those usually ended." The operation went smoothly until they reached Danny's cell. As they were leaving, an alarm triggered. Guards converged from all directions. Gunfire erupted. Blackwood, from his sniper position, eliminated 2 threats instantly. Rachel and McCoy, shielding Danny between them, returned fire. A guard appeared from around a corner, weapon raised toward Rachel. Before she could react, Blackwood tackled her, taking a bullet in his shoulder. "Now we're even," he grimaced through the pain. They escaped with Danny, bleeding but alive. Blackwood would recover. With his son safe, Williams provided everything they needed: account numbers, meeting logs, recorded conversations proving Wayland's involvement in Chimera. The evidence was damning. Millions diverted from CIA black budgets to terrorist organizations and drug cartels, all flowing through Wayland's offshore accounts. The next morning, Rachel arrived at Langley for the intelligence conference. She wore civilian clothes, her credentials identifying her as a security consultant. Freeman monitored the building's systems remotely, while McCoy waited outside with a team of trusted agents. Wayland stood at the podium, his silver hair catching the light, his voice confident as he addressed the assembled intelligence community elite. "In these uncertain times, our agencies must stand united against threats both foreign and domestic." Rachel moved through the crowd, positioning herself by the main exit. Their plan was simple. Wait for the evidence to be delivered to the FBI director, then confront Wayland publicly. But then Wayland's eyes locked with Rachel's across the room. Recognition flashed. He knew. He quickly excused himself and moved toward a side exit. Rachel followed. In a deserted hallway, Wayland turned to face her. "Ghost hunter," he said, his grandfatherly face twisting into something ugly. "I wondered when you'd show up." "It's over, Richard. We have everything. The Bahrain files, the offshore accounts, the recordings." Wayland laughed softly. "You think that matters? Do you have any idea who protects me? How high this goes?" "High enough to sacrifice two of your own operatives? Alex and Marcus deserved better." "Collateral damage." Wayland's hand moved toward his jacket. Rachel didn't hesitate. Her sidearm appeared in her hand, steady and sure. "I wouldn't." "You won't shoot me here, not at Langley." "Try me." Her finger rested on the trigger, the same calm focus she'd displayed on the range settling over her. "I've killed more dangerous men than you from half a mile away. This is point blank." For a long moment, neither moved. Then the hallway filled with agents, McCoy at their head. The FBI director stepped forward, holding a file. "Richard Wayland, you're under arrest for treason, conspiracy to commit murder, and misappropriation of government funds." As they led him away, Wayland locked eyes with Rachel one last time. "This isn't over. There are others." "I'm counting on it," she replied. 1 month later, Rachel stood at the firing range at Fort Bragg, instructing a mixed class of American and British operators. Blackwood, his arm in a sling, assisted. "Breathe, aim, squeeze," she told a young sniper. "The target isn't just what you see through the scope, it's everything: the wind, the humidity, the rotation of the earth. Account for it all." McCoy joined them, watching the training with approval. "Ghost Hunter officially exists now," he told Rachel quietly. "Declassified version anyway. No more shadows?" "Some shadows are necessary," she replied. "Perhaps." McCoy handed her a sealed envelope. "But not for you. Not anymore. You've earned the light." Inside was her transfer to head the new Joint Special Operations Sniper School, a position that would put her unique skills to use without requiring her to disappear again. Later, as the sun set over Fort Bragg, Rachel and Blackwood shared a coffee at the edge of the range. "To ghosts," he toasted with his mug. "To coming out of the shadows," she replied. He studied her for a moment. "What happens now, with Wayland's network?" Rachel's eyes hardened. "We hunt them. All of them." 6 months later, in a secure Pentagon conference room, McCoy addressed a select group of military and intelligence officials. "Wayland was just the beginning," he explained, displaying photographs of intelligence officers, politicians, and business leaders. "His network extends through multiple agencies and private contractors. The corruption goes deeper than we imagined." On the screen behind him appeared a new symbol, an Ouroboros with 9 stars. "That's why we're creating Project Wraith," McCoy continued. "A new unit built on Ghost Hunter's foundation, but stronger, more transparent, with proper oversight." He handed each person a folder. "Inside, you'll find details on the selection process, operational parameters, and mission objectives. This time, we do it right." The last slide showed Rachel, standing before a group of elite operators, all bearing the 9-star Ouroboros tattoo. Captain Miller will lead the field teams. Her experience makes her uniquely qualified to train a new generation of operatives who can operate in the shadows without losing their souls to the darkness. Later that night, Rachel received an encrypted message on her secure terminal. "Project Wraith activated. 9 stars. Ready to lead?" She typed a single word. "Always." The hunt was just beginning. If you've ever been underestimated only to prove everyone wrong, share your story. Because the most dangerous people are often the ones nobody sees coming until it's too late.